Good afternoon. I'm Carlton Ulmer, co-founder of Build a Brain, Build a Life, Build a Community. And I'm excited to be able to spend some time with you as we talk about CogAbility and early brain development. And one of the greatest challenges we have in our nation, which is fostering trust with parents so that we can better inform and equip them with early brain development tools.
Welcome to The Critical Window, Brain Building in the First 3 Years. Join us in discussing how parents, healthcare professionals, experts in early childhood development, and community agencies can support a child's first 3 years of development. We unpack the science and share practical strategies for giving every child the best possible start.
Jim, welcome. We're excited to have you on The Critical Window, and we'd love for you to take a minute to introduce yourself to our audience.
I'm glad to do it because it's a very exciting time to be alive. My name is Jim Hoskins. I'm the CEO and founder of CogAbility. We're an artificial intelligence engineering company. So my background, I'm an electrical engineer from the University of Florida. I went to work straight out of college for IBM. IBM put me on with NASA working on the space shuttle program, doing some onboard avionics, artificial intelligence work way back in the 80s. Then IBM put me down in Boca Raton, Florida on the personal computer development team, where I worked with various AI labs around the world doing interesting things for that project. I wrote some books about technology that did well, so I left IBM, started my own company a long time ago, and been doing interesting things ever since. Fast forward to 2015, when IBM announced their Watson brand of AI technology. They hired us because of my background with AI and with IBM. They hired us to do a large-scale application built on top of their Watson brand of AI technology. So we started playing with their building blocks and realized that while they had some nice technology pieces, there was no infrastructure in place to manage an enterprise application at that scale. You could stand up a nice demo, you could get a little ways down the road, but when you tried to scale, there was no infrastructure at that time to do AI correctly. So rather than fall into that trap, we decided to work with IBM and later the University of Florida to build that infrastructure that we needed to manage AI at the enterprise scale. And that turned into two things really. One is a middleware software layer that orchestrates AI technology from IBM Watson, yes, but we're an independent company. So we work with technology from OpenAI, Microsoft, Amazon, NVIDIA, Google, you name it. We're partners with them all. The second thing we built is a virtual software environment on top of that middleware layer called Cog University, C-O-G University. It's the first university in the world dedicated to teaching machines rather than humans. All of the students at Cog University are AI entities we create with our clients. We call them CogBots, C-O-G-B-O-T-S. So just like a regular university where a human student can study astronomy or engineering, at Cog University, we can teach a CogBot to do anything that today's AI technology can do. And when Google or Amazon or somebody comes out with something new in about 20 minutes, it seems, then we'll be able to teach our CogBots to do that. Already, we have CogBots that can do really any type of AI that's available today. They can learn to do anything that today's technology could do. And so we have CogBots that can identify the species of a sea turtle in an image, or predict the outcome of a pitch in baseball, or serve as an outstanding chat feature on a website. And when you have a CogBot trained to do chat, what you get is the most capable chat in our marketplace. But that's just the very beginning of what a CogBot can do, which what makes us different at Cog University. We run it like a university. We have semesters. Each semester, the CogBots sign up for courses, and humans act as faculty members to teach the CogBots what they need to know. These humans don't need to know anything about AI or anything about computer programming, but they need to know everything about what they're teaching the CogBot, just like you wouldn't want a poor history teacher to teach your child history. So that's my background.
Yeah, I love it, Jim. And I remember just a little bit of reflection before Vernon introduces himself. I guess, Jim, I was CEO at HCA West Florida.
Yeah.
And Quint Studer, a good friend of ours, and Quint's co-founder of Build a Brain here with me, reached out to me while I was CEO of the hospital and said, hey, I really want you to meet this guy. His name's Jim Hoskins. And I remember Quint saying, I know, Carlton, you're big on innovation and technology and have been your whole career with HCA. I think the two of y'all would get along nicely, and I know you want to solve some opportunities to better serve patients. And that's how we first met, was talking about how to create some AI solutions using CogBots to serve patients. And hold that because we're going to get to that in a minute and really talk about some solutions to better inform and equip parents. Vernon, do you mind introducing yourself?
Sure. Yeah. Good to see you again. I'm Vernon Niven is my name, the Chief Operating Officer of CogAbility. And like you, I met Jim when a friend of mine recommended that we meet each other because we're both kind of those people at the party who like to talk about geeky things.
You guys need better friends.
And that's me too. And like Jim, and we found that we learned this about each other, I also started doing AI in the mid-'80s for what is now Accenture, which is a global consulting firm. I went to partner there, then since that was about 2000. After that, I've been building new companies, new businesses. This is the fourth one on top of AI, outside of another one I own, which is, I would call it an AI business. I've been here for about, coming on 3 years now. I help Jim in a lot of ways. Jim leads by far our technology strategy, our product strategy, tests everything. He gets the fun work, And I do a little bit more on the business side, legal side. And of course, in this situation, I've been working with you on what you would like to talk about. So I'll hold it at that.
Yeah, thank you, Vernon. Excited to be able to spend time with both of you. And Vernon, I've had the opportunity to get to know you over the last couple of years. One of the great roles, what I love about CogAbility and what Jim's done is onboarding some key leaders in our community, people like Quint Studer, Dr. Ken Ford, who have kind of served as advisors for CogAbility. And just, again, it reminds me when you're looking around the room and you've got people like Ken Ford and others, I know I'm not the smartest one in the room any longer.
Like you have their help.
Yeah. So I want to talk about AI. I want to talk about, one of our biggest challenges, which is fostering trust with parents. When we first started down this road through the Studer Community Institute and University of Chicago to begin informing parents using merely just a 4.5-minute video to talk to parents, especially new parents, about the role they play as the first teacher of their baby and how their baby's brain is going to develop in the first 3 years of life and the role they play to help foster that development. It was a challenge up in Chicago to be able to get into the homes of parents. And that's really why we ended up doing this 2-year study in Pensacola with our birthing hospitals here. And I happen to be the CEO of one of them to really inform all parents prior to being discharged from the hospital. So that way we know in healthcare, if we've got 98.6% of all deliveries in the hospital, what a great opportunity to be able to utilize that continuum of care with the medical community to be able to inform and equip parents. But what we've learned on this journey is that that's not enough. And even Dr. Dana Suskins in a podcast a year ago said, that's not enough. We've got to do even more work in the homes with the parents that we serve. And so, we provide parents with a Baby Steps milestone book. It has all the evidence-based information about ages and stages and what's happening to their child so that they're better informed. And perhaps even begin to think about questions they may have or observations they're not seeing their child demonstrate, at 2 months of age or 6 months of age. And then we talk about the importance of well baby visits. But one of the things that we've noticed in the last several years of being in the space of really trying to foster early brain development is there's not this bi-directional relationship with parents. And we believe wholeheartedly, and it began testing this theory with you, that parents would benefit and see value in a CogBot. They can have conversations 24/7 with them. And so I would love to know, Jim and Vernon, just kind of your thoughts around conversational CogBots. How does that work? What can they do? Just in general, because you're talking about CogBots. Yeah, we're talking about CogBots and we're talking about Cog University, but exactly what all can a CogBot do?
Go ahead, Vernon. Oh, okay. Well, in this context, this is probably one of the best uses of conversational AI for doing good in the world that I can think of. And that's why I've been so excited to work with you and Build-A-Brain. In this situation, today, some of the programs that are out there to help with baby brain development are kind of pushed. They're websites, there might be some stuff you're handed to a parent in a hospital, but they have to go there and then they got to research and maybe use a search engine. And it can be very overwhelming. In this case, you can just ask a question and have a conversation with your own personal assistant, and they can answer the questions with both pre-approved, medically accurate, this is what we've been working on, answers that are controlled and managed in Cog University. Right? along with the benefits of like ChatGPT, where you can ask anything and everything, and the bot basically uses that to figure out what it is the parent needs and give them the answer. The other cool thing is, because it's on your phone, you can connect to resources. You can connect to providers. You can do so many things in the chatbot that you can't do just on a website or a search engine. Yeah.
Well, I think that's one of the things I loved about the idea of a CogBot that's parent-facing, right? So parents have access to a CogBot 24/7. I know with 3 kids of my own, it could be 2 a.m. in the morning and you have questions that you want answered. You know, you can't sleep and you're thinking to yourself, I wonder what's going on with my child. Is my child on track? Am I on track? What do I need to be doing differently? Mm-hmm. So maybe, Jim, you know, I know CogAbility has been very successful in government. And one of the things I've loved about watching that story develop in government is the fact that our counties begin to learn more about the citizens they serve.
Yeah, interestingly, you think, well, let's teach a CogBot to answer a bunch of questions. And that is very useful. But just like most things in life, when you actually start doing the thing, you realize that the things you thought were important, yeah, maybe they're important, but there are 8 other things you didn't even think of that are even more important. So that's why AI is a journey instead of a project. We don't do AI projects at Cog University. We build AI partnerships. So we're in this for the long haul with whoever we work with because it's so much fun. And it can be so effective in helping solve so many problems in today's world. There are risks with AI, like with any powerful technology. Our job at CogAbility, among other people who are working on this, is to make sure that AI is going in a good, positive direction and minimize the risks. That's what we're focused on. That's what gets me out of bed every day. And this Builder Brain opportunity is so exciting to me because what's more important than making sure that the next generation of human beings is prepared to take on the challenges they'll face?
Yeah.
First of all, they better start taking care of me. Second of all, they need to take care of everything that we've all, as a whole civilization, built to this point. There are going to be challenges that come ahead, and I want our new babies to be very smart adults. So I'm so excited to do that thing. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, you did. Okay. And I'm just thinking about, you know, the evidence side of it. You know, the books, we put, you know, CDC information, American Academy of Pediatric information. We want to make sure that what we're providing parents is evidence-based, it's accurate, you know, it's research. We're not making up stuff. And I think that's what's so exciting about Build a Brain's collaboration with CogAbility to build this parent-facing CogBot is the fact that we can bring the evidence to the CogBot. And these CogBots are trained. And, you know, when I think about Cog University, maybe spend a few minutes and talk about, without going into great detail, which I know we can, and I love detail, but just talk about, you know, Cog University, and you said this, you know, in your introduction, you just need to know your job, right? You don't have to be a programmer, you don't have to be a coder. I don't even know the names of all the tech positions these days, but talk about how CogBots are built in general and the evidence and the science behind it.
Okay, yeah. So we have an unmatched technology stack right now. So the way CogBots work is there's a 7-tier response cascade. The bottom line is it can do anything from take action in the world to answering a question just by responding. It can give a message back to the F-16 or control a fleet of drones. A CogBot with this technology stack can do anything. And just to round it out, that stack is called the prefrontal cortex, PFC. In the human brain, as many brain developers who watch this will know, executive decision-making, personality, these are all controlled by the human's prefrontal cortex. Well, just like we have artificial neural networks based on the human brain and the human neurons, we have an artificial prefrontal cortex, and that's this 7-tier cascade. So the way that we build the CogBot is we stand up that piece of technology, we then build the user interface. Maybe it's going to be a website image, maybe it's going to be a standalone web application, maybe it's hidden and surfaced through another application, maybe it's in a piece of hardware. So we create the user experience on top of that prefrontal cortex, and that controls everything else. So then once you've got the infrastructure, all CogBots come standard with the ability to speak and to hear and to see and to read. Just like a human student who goes to a university, they know all that, but they don't know anything about engineering or law. That's why they're there to learn. Same with the CogBot. We stand up a general purpose CogBot that can learn to do anything that today's AI technology can do. In the case of Buddy with Build-A-Brain, what we've done, not what I've done, what the faculty members at Cog University from Build-A-Brain have done is to curate a set of age-appropriate documentation to give parents guidance on how to identify issues or questions they have about their baby's brain development and what they can and should be doing to encourage that. So when you ask Buddy a question, the first thing Buddy's going to do is say, well, how old's your baby? Right. And you say, my baby is 18 months. And then from then on, once the CogBot knows your baby's age, whatever questions you give will, whatever responses you see will be based on the data that your faculty has created to be age-appropriate responses.
And there's something I like to add too. We haven't said it yet, but CogAbility's mission is to empower public servants and the people they serve.
Right.
And so we are based and rooted in serving local governments, court systems, healthcare providers, higher education, University of Florida, and another university coming soon. We're taking on some of the hardest jobs for AI, and as a result of having those types of customers, we've built in security protocols, guardrails, we call them safety guardrails in AI, so that the bot cannot answer a question incorrectly. You hear about hallucinations a lot, or the chatbot's making up stuff and sounding really, really confident about it. Good marketer, We've taken that out.
Right.
And it's a fairly sophisticated system that we built, but the customers, Build-A-Brain, providers who would be providing information to Buddy for their local area, they don't need to know anything about that at all.
I think for us, just knowing our audience, knowing the parents that we're trying to serve, it's important to have trust. It's important to be in an environment where you feel you can ask questions and not be judged. Am I asking a dumb question? I think that's one of the beauties of working with a trained CogBot is there shouldn't be any judgment, because what you're going to get back is evidence-based information, clinical information that says your baby's 2, they should be experiencing these types of milestones. Here's what to look for regarding your baby. And so I think, the CogBot's ability to provide parents information 24/7 is going to be so valued. And I know we've been going through some testing with Buddy, and that's what we've heard. We've heard examples of use cases, which is it's 2 a.m. in the morning and I have questions. I can't sleep. I'm a new mom, and I want to have a conversation and talk to Buddy and see what kind of answers.
How's he talking yet?
Yeah. See what kind of questions I get back. I don't feel like my child can hear me. What's an audiologist? Did my baby have an audiology screen? Talking about well baby visits. And I love all the information that's going to be there. One of the things that is an opportunity for us, and we have a lot of tools that Build-A-Brain is utilizing nationally in different states to better inform and equip parents. Mm-hmm. But the opportunity to nudge, and our audience may not know what nudging is, but as you think about AI, maybe spend a minute and talk about how does nudging, what's a nudge?
We've talked about this a lot. The coolest thing about the latest generation of AI is that you can tweak it in so many different ways. You can just by giving it some simple commands or simple instructions, you can get it to get ahead of the user, right? So if it detects that the parent seems to have a little bit of stress about audiology or the hearing, it can go ahead and start giving some recommendations, some suggestions at the right time. Coupled with the text messaging system, we can actually push those out to another channel if we want to. And the AI takes care of all of that. It doesn't require an IT team to reconfigure workflows, for example. And it's not how this works. You just change a little bit of prompting, and we help you with that. You can change the voice. You can change the grade level of the responses, right? You can change so many different things to tune it for the community and for the person. So nudging is just a proactive.
Right.
I heard this. You didn't know this was important. Right. Here's 2 things you might want to think about.
Yeah, we started using that in our milestone newsletter. So parents have an opportunity in the communities that we serve to sign up for Milestones newsletters. And those go out over the first 3 years of that child's life, and very, very intentional, very much evidence-based along the ages of the child through those first 3 years, to include, the importance of well baby visits, education around autism screening, because we know if our parents are more informed, they're more likely to observe and ask questions. And we really want our parents to be very informed, especially as they begin to interact with healthcare. And so they're going to pediatricians. We want to make sure that their observations are being matched with the pediatrician's observations, and maybe even the future child care observations, because then it begins to tell a story over the 24-hour of that child's life.
Right, and unlike a website, unlike a search engine, unlike almost any other communication channel that a parent could have with the community of resources, this AI today, it can actually figure out what the next 2 or 3 resources or connections or people or phone numbers the parent needs on its own intelligently. So it's very natural, and you can connect people in the community at the moment of need. Right, and that is just so different than any other channel.
Well, and I love that at a community level, right, city, county level, we can equip Buddy as an example. We can train Buddy to know what resources are available. So you could be a underinsured, new parent who's looking around, what pediatricians do I have available? It could be that you as a new parent don't know what a federally qualified health clinic is. And, we're fortunate here in the Panhandle. We've got probably one of the best ones I've seen in multiple states. But, as a parent, if you don't know what resources are available to you, it's hard to go find them. And likewise, we can pull those resources forward to parents and train Buddy to be able to know about those local resources in each geography that Buddy is deployed.
And isn't that the common experience of all new parents, that you don't know what you need to know?
Yeah, or you don't know what you don't know.
You don't know what you don't know. But everybody's going to do it for the first time,
Right.
I'm a parent too. We want to live through those nights.
Yeah.
And it's so cool that this can be both personalized for everybody's needs.
Right.
But yet only have one platform, Cog University, where you can train and tweak and tune whatever you need to do to make sure that that parent gets what they need at that moment of need. Yeah. In each community differently. Even.
Yeah. Jim, maybe take a minute. I think it's important, just looking at what CogAbility has been doing for the last several years. One of the things I've noticed, and we can talk about University of Florida, we can talk about government, is it feels like once an entity, whether that's in government or university setting, once they start working with a CogBot, it seems like there's a lot more interest and a lot more use cases. Once a buddy type CogBot's in motion, it feels like everyone's going, well, if we thought about utilizing that CogBot to do this or that, have you got some examples or stories you'd like to share around uses for AI CogBots?
Yeah. So it's an important distinction. One of the things that's unique about Cog University is that we don't do projects, we do partnerships. And what that means is you get a managed service model where if something's not working right, it's not your problem, it's our problem. It's a Cadillac top-end way to deliver artificial intelligence to people who aren't AI experts. AI is too important to delegate to somebody who's just kind of interested in figuring it out, whether that's an IT team that's playing with it and wants to learn more or whatever. You need somebody who's already an AI expert to help guide you through this time. This period of time is unmatched in history. So you've got to work with someone like us. I have over 40 years experience working with AI. You want me to help you. You don't want somebody who just read about ChatGPT 3 weeks ago and thinks they're an expert. So Cog University brings that. But in the government space, for example, what you said is once they get a digital employee, they usually name them. They always name them.
Yeah, I'll give them names.
It makes it personal.
Yeah.
So Vernon was on a call and we heard this. We stood up a CogBot named Sophie for Hillsborough County tax collector. So after Sophie had been working there, Sophie had her first day at work, just like a human. Sophie actually brought donuts on donut day. So Sophie was embraced by their
Real
whole team.
donuts. Okay. Yeah, real donuts.
Real donuts. they made a video to introduce their new employee to the rest of their team. It's a big county, so they have a lot of people working there. So they stood up Sophie, and after Sophie had been working there for a while, we were in a staff meeting.
Just to clarify, Sophie was serving the public with questions and answers were diverted to the tax.
That's how it started.
That's how it started.
And I'll go to where they went next. But so during this meeting, we announced that Sophie had answered this many questions and saved the county this much in call center deflection. She got a round of applause from the team with whistles.
I love that.
It's become personal. It's not a piece of Microsoft software. It's a digital employee.
Right. Yeah, so it was a seated standing ovation is what it was. It was the very first customer call as an employee anyway that I got to see.
Yeah.
And it just blew my mind because I've been doing, like you, I've been doing AI off and on for 35 years. I've never seen anybody react to even software like that.
It's personalized.
It's very personal.
So anyway, to your original question, I guess, because I just love talking about this stuff, is we started out by trying to answer questions and relieve the call center volume, which had worked beautifully. That's why she got the applause. She's Sophie. So, but then they said, you know what? Here's the story. They hired a programmer who took 2 years to build what's called a fee estimator for a tax collector. They have to worry about vehicle title fees and vehicle registration renewals. This is part of their job. And a lot of times the public wants to know, well, how much is it going to cost? Because they need to know, well, how much money do I need to bring? Do I need to wait till my next paycheck? And so the tax collector in Hillsborough County hired this employee, and they spent 2 years. It's pretty complex, more than you would think. They spent 2 years writing a fee estimator, and it never worked. And they came to me and said, you know what? Sophie's doing so well. Can Sophie do that? And the answer was yes. But we didn't try to write a program that had all this complexity in it. What we did instead is we went to the state where they do all those transactions, and we got 1.4 million records from the state. And we built machine learning models that predicted the fees based on all that history. And that was deployed quickly, and it's working great. And now other tax collectors in the state are adopting it. The next thing they went to as well, our citizens are making the wrong appointment. They want to have a driver's license driving test, but they make one for the written test.
They're like 5 locations.
Yeah. And so they walk in to do their driver's test, and they made the wrong appointment. So now the tax collector has an angry customer in their office who can't get what they want. And they don't want that. So they said, can you help? Can Sophie help? So now when you're making an appointment, Sophie will say, what kind of appointment do you want? And I'll say driver's license. And then they'll say, okay, did you want a written test, a commercial? What do you? So she'll drill down to make sure that they get the right appointment. So they show up and they can get what they need. Now it's going even beyond that, but I'll leave it there because I'm.
And that's the concept of navigation, right? Because those 5 locations had different services available at different times of the day. Were open at different hours, and they had different sizes, different features at each location. And Sophie just takes care of navigating the citizen to the right location at the right time to get exactly what they need based on the queue that's available.
Right.
So it's really cool, and it all happens on the mobile phone in a chat box.
And translating this to Buddy, so what that means is Buddy can start off by doing the thing that you're now envisioning, but 3 months later, you're going to have 2 new ideas, and the technology will have changed and be able to let you do more. So just like a student who can learn a new thing by taking a new course at a traditional university, your CogBot can do that same thing at whatever pace you choose, or not. That's the beauty of this model of having a digital employee at a university for machines, the first in the world that's like that.
Yeah, I love that the CogBot continues to learn based on the input. So it's learning, and not only is it receiving all these questions and providing all these answers, but then CogAbility and government get to learn themselves as to what's important to our citizens. That we serve. And I think that's going to be a tremendous opportunity for Build-A-Brain, and us as a state and a nation, is to be able to lend voice to parents to hear what's most important. Too often we may come up with our own solutions and say, hey, try this. I think this will fix that problem.
Usually how humans do things, right?
Right.
Come up with an idea. Oh, I love my idea. Now I'm going to go build my idea. Now don't you all love it?
Right.
This is completely different. Yeah. Like this is, we're looking at the actual questions coming in from parents about all sorts of things right? We're learning what the parents really care about, what time of the day matters the most, things like that. Like you say, staying up at night. Yeah, the things that keep you up at night. Those are the questions, the most important questions, right? So you actually get to learn all this, and this is the common experience with all of our customers. And I think with most AI chatbot type customers anyway, is that you read those questions and answers, you see those matches, you start to realize what parents really need, or what citizens really need. And Hillsborough is a good example. They learned so much, they ended up updating their website, changing their website based upon this exhaust trail of data that comes out of a chatbot conversation that you can't get anywhere else. And it really informs you and how to treat people differently and how to solve problems.
Well, yeah, just to build on that, it's in the classrooms in Cog University where you can see all this activity. And one of the things you can do, which is fun, is just read through the questions like a social media feed.
Right.
And that's what you're saying. That's how you learn. It's like a silly example. The tax collector here in Santa Rosa County realized that all these questions were coming in about how do they need to register a trailer. And they didn't have anything on their website associated with trailers. So they said, oh, I guess we need to go do that. Right. So it's a two-way learning.
Right. When we first met, I wanted to hear firsthand from someone who's working with a CogBot, and you said, hey, call our tax collector over in Santa Rosa. And I remember calling Stan, talking to Stan about the CogBot.
Hi, Stan, if you see this.
CogBot in Santa Rosa County, and how much he loved what they were learning as a county in order to better serve the citizens across that county. And that's what we're trying to do with Build-A-Brain. So I know we've got some big challenges. We've got developmental delays not being identified timely. And we've used this example in the US, we're not identifying autism on average until after 4 years of age.
Right.
Clinically, we should be able to diagnose it in around 12 months of age. So how do we better inform parents? How do we better inform child care centers, caregivers about those key observations around what autism looks like? And how do we begin to connect the dots across that continuum? So we're charged with, can Buddy inform parents? Can Buddy provide clinical evidence-based information? Buddy's not going to diagnose. Buddy's not a doctor, but Buddy can absolutely have this conversation with parents to better inform parents about their observations as they share with Buddy what they're seeing, as well as resources in the community. One of the things, Vernon, backing up to what you were talking about too on navigation, is we haven't really talked about Buddy's role to help complement the healthcare continuum of care, to help complement OB-GYNs who may be doing prenatal.
Right.
And Buddy's role to be able to provide parents prenatal information.
Yeah, start with the whole pediatric.
Yeah, it's a whole continuum of care from prenatal with OB-GYNs through your birthing hospitals, through audiology. It may be a NICU journey. And that's part of what I love about what we're doing, is trying to grab clinical information like, if your baby is discharged from the NICU, your baby may be 4.5 times more likely to have developmental delays. It doesn't mean your baby will. But the evidence and the science over the years would support, the predisposition for a greater likelihood of developmental delay. Same thing with a new mom with a NICU discharge may be more susceptible to depression or postpartum depression. So we know these things, and we want to make sure a Buddy is able to have a conversation with parents. This is definitely child-facing, but it's also maternal-facing. We're trying to address health. We're trying to address mental health, depression, and postpartum depression as well.
Right, and the cool thing, again, it's about the latest generation technology, and especially our platform. I mean, we talk it up all the time because it really is very unique in a lot of ways, especially for really your money or your life kind of situations like this. Is you can use one knowledge base and answer just millions of questions off the knowledge base, and you can just add things to the knowledge base, and Buddy knows how to answer the question.
Right.
It's really kind of that straightforward. And when Buddy is not able, and that does happen sometimes, we know it because we test it and all. You or a healthcare provider can just add an answer to a question if Buddy's not giving it exactly the way you want, or if it's one of these questions that's, we got to answer this 100% correctly. I know we went through this a lot with Stephanie helping us on these. You can put that into what is called a corpus, which is just like the official Bible of answers for these topics. And so that combination of having a knowledge base, a bunch of documents and websites or whatever you got on the subject, plus these standard answers to really important questions, you cover all the situations you need.
Right.
And you can add more and more and more knowledge
Right.
over time.
Right.
And more corpus answers to cover all sorts of things, and still operates the same way.
Yep.
It's the same CogBot, works and feels the same way, just can do more.
Yep.
That's how it comes across for the parent.
Brandon, it makes me think, just hearing you talk, I know one of the things that we've seen with technology is the lack of trust from parents with using a technology, downloading, yet another app. But maybe talk about what the security, the anonymous information. I mean, Buddy gets more intelligent based on the conversations.
Yeah.
Right. But that doesn't mean that mom and dad and the grandparents and anyone else using Buddy is giving up their personal information.
That's right. Yeah. In this application, and almost all of our applications are like this for chatbots, the engagement, the interactions are all anonymous. We don't know who the person is. We're not going to ask them. In fact, we'll tell them up front, please don't enter any personal information. We're very keen to do that because it's very important they trust the bot.
Right.
And so that's just comes with standard CogBot. Is there anything else you kind of wanted to focus on as far as security or?
No, that's really it. I think we've heard from our parents just the importance of trusting who they're interacting with. It's almost like, I left my phone out there while we're doing this, and purposely, because that way it doesn't ring or take my attention away. But I'm always wondering, is my phone listening to me right now? And every now and then my phone times on. And I think parents sometimes have the same feeling, like, where's this information?
To be honest,
that I'm sharing?
to be honest, it's AI.
Yeah.
Right. And so our entire society is going through this change right now. So it's very important, and then we've learned this. It's very important to say, and Buddy needs to tell the person, I am an AI bot.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Everything you say here is kept anonymous. Do not enter your personal information. I don't want to know anything about it other than the questions I might ask you, which are kind of vague. How old is your child?
Right.
But we're not going to store this. You have to be very clear with them. And once they start using it and getting it as a resource, and you don't violate the trust, which, do it at the technical level so you can't know who they are.
Right.
That's what we do.
Right.
And then your job is to tell them with how it works.
Right.
And then over time, we'll be good.
Yeah. And not that we need it for this use case for Buddy, but I know CogAbility has gone through, I think about government, I think about clerk's office, I think about FBI, CGIS, HIPAA.
Yep.
I think y'all have, as a company, have checked probably every I don't know if there's a higher level of security than
We're
your
HIPAA compliant, we're CGIS compliant, nobody knows what that is, but the court system in America is ruled by FBI standards. And so the FBI security standards for criminal justice information, that's the CJI. And we're certified in the state of Georgia. We're all trained. We follow all the rules. Our platform, we can run it in GovCloud to keep it completely secure if that's needed. We do that for our courts. So we're well versed in all these standards. Also, accessibility, right?
Yeah.
We followed what's called, I think these are acronyms, but they matter. WCAG 2.2, we're compliant with that, which means that if someone is hearing impaired and they're using a machine to interact with the CogBot, our CogBot is compliant with that and will work with that. That's very important for when you're doing a society-wide application like this.
And on top of, to build on that security on a broader sense, so I was raised by IBM, right? And IBM is famous for their computer security. So I have security in my DNA. Yeah. Everything I do starts with security. So everything that we do, everything that we store is encrypted at flight and at rest. It's compliant with all the standards that are required by a given use case. And we start with security before we go anywhere else. We've never had any kind of a breach, any kind of a data leak. And we've been in production with Fortune 50 companies and smaller for almost 10 years now.
Yep, 9 years.
Great.
Yeah, we take it very seriously. Jim and I both do, very seriously. And I'm kind of, I guess in the company, I'm kind of the person that has to know. He has to do it. I got to tell him what to do. Right. Yeah, that's kind of how we work. Right. So I'm a lawyer in this case.
Yes. Well,
we take it very seriously. And
he's our security bulldog.
Yeah.
And of all the missions that we've had for the different customers we've had, I think Jim would agree with me that this is by far the most important for society that we can think of.
I love it.
It's so easy to do this work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and for us at Build-A-Brain, we're excited about this opportunity. As we wrap up, what we've been sharing is the collaboration for CogAbility to support Build-A-Brain by building a parent-facing CogBot, a chatbot that can begin to foster trust, that can begin to inform and equip new parents about their observations. A CogBot that can answer questions that parents may have 24/7. When humans aren't around, or when humans are asleep, or humans are off work. But to be able to bring that evidence forward in order to better inform parents, to bring that evidence forward so that parents can help be better prepared to meet with healthcare providers along their child's continuum of care, to bring that information forward so that parents can help and work with healthcare providers to be able to diagnose developmental delays sooner, to do that in a way that's trustworthy, to do it in a way that's anonymous, and to do it in a way that better informs companies like Build-A-Brain so that we better understand the needs of our parents, so that we can create better tools, better information, because we too don't know what we don't know. And we need that voice, and we have to have that relationship with our parents. And we're confident. And it feels like the tests that we've been doing the last month with Buddy have been very successful. We're hearing great things from our healthcare partners, from parents, about the role Buddy can play at home and with them and in the communities that they serve. And so we look forward to sharing more information about Buddy in the future, and appreciate Jim Hoskins, CEO for CogAbility, and Vernon Niven, COO for CogAbility, spending some time with us at Build-A-Brain to share about the work you've been doing. And for our healthcare partners and agencies that we serve, we'll provide more insights and more education around Buddy and the role that Buddy can play to better serve you as a healthcare provider, to better serve your communities, and to be an extension of the care that you already provide to so many loved ones all across the service areas that you work with. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to The Critical Window. If today's episode sparked new ideas or insights, we'd love for you to subscribe and share it with others. Visit buildabrainnow.com for show notes and resources, and to connect with our growing community. Until next time, remember, every interaction shapes a developing brain.